Hey, think I'm live? I'm not quite sure. This is for posterity's sake. Uh, this is me working on a game. I have no real title for the game. It's something I started working on at like midnight last night, and decided to take a shot. It's a 2D kind of side view brawler fighting game. Going for somewhere between Smash Bros and Killer Queen Black in complexity. And that's it. I'll get a little bit more into what exactly that means in a second. I'm gonna share this on my Facebook and Twitter and whatnot, though, as soon as I can figure out where the link is for it. I don't know. I don't really use YouTube live stream, so let's go see. If I just go to my channel, I'm gonna find out. It's oh yeah, it says there's a live thing here. All right. Let me get the shareable link. All right. Alright, post there. Gonna post it on Twitter. Alright. And now I'm going to get into it. Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty chill, just me working on this. I am, like I said, building a kind of fighter game. I literally started this like 12 hours ago. Couldn't sleep last night. Decided, hey, let's make a game. And kind of got in the mood to make this fighter game. I can't use my wired controller now that I've got my microphone plugged in. Whatever. So the idea is I wanted this to be kind of a class-based fighter game. This is an idea I had years ago. The idea that a fighter game with sword fighters, hand-to-hand fighters, and people with guns. Yeah, let me check. Yeah, so I got my audio boosted. Yeah, I didn't really do an audio check. So hopefully this is better now. Hi, welcome, Acreon in the chat. Good to see you. I feel like we know each other from somewhere. But I don't remember what that name is. So basically the idea is I want to do sword fighters, hand-to-hand fighters, and shooters. And I want them to have a kind of weird dynamic with each other, where sword fighters are strong against guns, hand-to-hand fighters are strong against sword, and guns are strong against hand-to-hand fighters. Got it. Hey, nice to see you. Nice to see you, Austin. So I've got a little demo here. I started working on my sword fighter character. So got 2 attacks for him. This little punching bag dude. Just show off some attacks. And I can hit him around. Yeah. Don't have my movement super set up yet. But the latest thing I started doing is setting up this little turret to do some bullets so I can test out kind of my big mechanic to make sword fighters strong against shooters, which is I want them to be able to deflect bullets. So if I get on the other side here, it's going to shoot at me. And if I can time this right, okay. Interesting. I think I'm just... So it looks... Oh! So that was something that I was getting before. I think that was a bullet getting deflected and pushing me away. I'm not entirely sure what the deal was there. Let me get this punching bag out of the way so I can test easier. So it seems like for the most part, my deflecting isn't working. I think I'm taking hits. Seems like either I take the hit or I just destroy it. But definitely at some points... So yeah, it seems like for what I wanted to deflect, it seems like it's not actually destroying now. Because I've got all these leftover bullets. Or actually, those might just be bullets that got away. No, okay. So if I'm getting hit, it's definitely running the hit animation and destroying the bullet. But if I hit the bullet with my sword, that bullet object is still there somewhere, I just can't see it. Okay, it looks like they're going way off in the distance. Let me try and get one of those. Pause real quick. How far away did you get? Okay, yeah. Clearly in like 2 seconds, it went that far. So I think I'm just deflecting too fast is the problem. So if I go into my code here, I've got where my deflection should be happening. And I think this is it. No, it's in the bullet, which has this hit. So when it gets hit, it should just be reversing its direction. Okay. And then it's normalized and then going to that force times magnitude. So clearly, that's way too much. Let's just test real quick. So this was basically just setting the force. Oh yeah, thanks for the share. I appreciate it. Yeah, don't know if I'm gonna make this a regular thing, but I was having fun coding, and I also wanted to show off that weird bug where I went flying, and thought, I'll stream. And now I'm also right at the beginning of this project and doing some stuff that I find fun. So I thought other people might be interested. So here what I was doing is I'm saying when the bullet gets hit by something, it's just going to reverse its direction. And then I was taking that direction and just getting rid of the speed aspect that normalize does and using the magnitude of the force it got hit with to set its speed. But what I'm thinking is that just went way too fast, so I'm going to need to tweak that. So I'm just going to check this. So with this new code, just going to be, should be just sending that bullet right back. Perfect. It's kind of like a baseball. All right, so this is doing pretty much exactly what I wanted it to. It's not hitting the turret back, which I think I got something messed up on that. So let's check the turret. It's because I didn't give it any kind of collider, so there's nothing to hit. Turn off my gizmos, I don't really need those. I'm actually going to see my gizmos for how the... Perfect. So you can see here I got my gizmos on. Got the hit collider for my player, and then the collider for the sword whenever I'm doing that. Haven't really tweaked these much. Just went for some kind of super huge colliders for testing. Alright, so what I need to do is find a good temporary value for how fast this should go. Because right now, if I'm looking at my turret, actually, how am I setting that up? So update, okay, it sets the direction equal to direction, which I'm... Okay, so I think direction probably just has a... Direction's probably... Oh, this is bad. Okay, so I had done some quick and dirty direction stuff here, which was I was just having it fire towards the player, and I think that even meant it was going faster based on how far away. I think the further away, or the faster the bullet went. Let's see. That looks pretty fast. If I go closer... Yeah, if I'm closer, it's definitely going slower. Also, weird side effect here in how I'm instantiating. If I get too close, it actually spawns on top of it because the overlap correction is based on the direction without any normalization. So let's correct this. So let's get a normalized vector here. So it's that we're not, when we're setting the direction here, we're not getting any kind of distance. We're not setting any value for distance. It's just, what is the direction? And then here, when we actually set the direction on the bullet, we should probably rename that because it's not totally direction, but it's fine for now. That's when we want to actually set a speed. So I'm gonna give myself a new variable here for what the fire speed is. All right. Now let's take a look. You see I can set the fire speed. I didn't actually set it to a number here, which is why we're getting these bullets just falling. Also spawning too far away. So I can put them a little closer. And on my turret, I can set that fire speed variable. So I'm going to start with 5, see what that looks like. All right. Okay, I put it too close to the turret. I think this is what I want. That is perfect. Mess with that fire speed. Yeah, so to answer questions in the chat, I learned this through lots of practice, and also I went to school for it. I did my undergrad and graduate degrees in game development, so I've worked on a couple different things. I have not. I haven't sold any games. I have finished some stuff. And I can actually pull something up real quick. Show off something I've completed if I can find it. So this isn't greatest version of this. All right, so pull this up. Let me switch my screen real quick. All right. This is a game I made. Game I worked on with a lot of people. I'm going to make myself a bit smaller here. With a lot of people, called Driftlight. This was my capstone project for my grad school. Let's see if I think my controller confused it. Oh, I was trying to use my mouse, which I unplugged to plug in my controller. So I'll just play this for a little bit, show off some other things I've worked on. One of my primary contributions to this project was the movement system. See, was a big part as we go through this in a second. It's a kind of adventure platformer. Big focus on like precision platforming. You can see as we go through here, this is kind of that tutorial section, which I've played many times and can speed through pretty well. Once we get here is where the game really starts to open up, which is with gravity shifting. So that was our big mechanic for this, was a lot of gravity shifting, a lot of flying through the air majestically. This is still finishing up the tutorial section, where you're not in control of your gravity shifting. You have to hit these little sparkly sections. That will shift your gravity for you. How do I play this? So that's how a lot of this stuff, just kind of like I said, I went to school for, and this is kind of a big school project. But a lot of it is really just learning by doing. So it's kind of a lot of movement systems and how do I affect how things move and make that feel good. I learned working on this project. So stuff like that for like jumping off that platform, going through these sections. I did all the code for how our protagonist moves through the air. And just a lot of trial and error. I'm taking input from multiple things, kind of what its velocity is, different things you can activate. So this is where you can shift your gravity yourself. And then, how much do I care about, where she fell from, what gravity shifting she's using, if you're, shifting your gravity back to normal. And so yeah, it's a lot of the math portions of how do you represent movement and position in space. It's really just a lot of there are classes on the programming aspect. You gotta learn, but really the bigger things are setting up the sections. Let me get my stream back to the right way. Oh, hey, so we got some more activity in the chat that I missed while I was playing my games. Let me get this back. All right. So to go back through the chat. So on that project, kind of my primary focus is I actually had two things that I did on that project, which was I made the physics for basically anytime the character was in the air, which is when all the physics stuff was happening. I just overrode the kind of default physics and did my own stuff. I also did the camera controller, which is a whole other thing. So this is my current project, which is in a much less finished state, which is a 2D fighter game. So you can see a lot less art going on here. I am not an artist. All of the art in that last game was from various teammates. I think we had at least half a dozen artists on there, probably more. And this is mostly found art, except for this little punching bag guy, which is all me. You can see those great animations when it gets hit. Just real quality art there. So, right now I'm deflecting these bullets here that are getting shot at me. As we saw a second ago. Where was it? Yeah, so I had the bullet here, which I want to kind of change its direction. Which I'm doing, I'm just kind of reversing the direction there. So that's a handy little trick when you're working with directions, is to just reverse it, just negative. That works pretty well. But what I want to do is I want to reverse it and then change what the magnitude is. So, reversing, it's going to go back the same speed it was going before. But I want it to go at a different speed depending on what kind of hit I give it. Because my 2 attacks have different force values that they give. So I want to make sure that they can send it back at different speeds. So if I do this, which we saw before, it's sending it back way too fast. So if I go, or if I actually, yeah, we can kind of see it here. We can see it just kind of zooming off in the other direction. So I'm going to try and slow that down a bit, figure out what a good value will be. All right, Austin, yeah, thanks for popping in. Hope to see you again later. Yeah. So, part of this is a design thing I might want to consider changing. Because when I hit something, so it's when either the bullet hits something or the sword hits something, I've just kind of got this base hit. I can make things hittable, which is what's going on here. And if something's hittable, it just means it has to have this hit function, which is something that other things can run. We can see in my fighter, I have this on trigger enter. Yeah, Xpix, I'm gonna definitely be trying to explain a lot of stuff that I'm doing. So hopefully it can be a little educational. I'm keeping an eye on the chat, so if you have any questions about anything in particular, feel free to ask away, and I can try to explain. One of my part-time jobs is actually as a game programming and design instructor. So I'm decent at explaining how to code and how to design, which is part of why I wanted to do this and just share more kind of the more advanced stuff that I'm working on for my own projects that I don't usually get to teach in lessons. So what I got here is this on trigger enter. So that's whenever the collider for the sword touches something. It checks first that the thing it touched isn't itself. That was the problem I had at the beginning, where I had the sword collider or the sword trigger. It's not a collider because it doesn't block stuff from being there. It just sends up this trigger event. But it was hitting the actual collider for the player. So basically he was hitting himself with his own sword. And this is just making sure, hey, don't hit yourself with your own sword. Make sure that the object that you're colliding with is not this game object. And then the second thing I want to check is for the thing that you hit, does it have something that's hittable, which is this get component I hittable. So that makes sure there's some kind of component on the thing that got hit that understands what it means to get hit. So then I go for that thing and I tell it, hey, here's the force that it got hit with, which is a direction and magnitude. It's a vector 2. Vector is just kind of something that has direction and magnitude, 2 being 2-dimensional. So this is what I use for like when I hit the punching bag. You'll see here, I hit it and I launch it up into the air. So that's what that vector 2 attack force is doing. The hit force is how much damage it's dealing. So that's the other thing that you can see is if I just use my down attack, don't mess it up. It's getting like redder as I'm going. That's just based on how much damage it takes. It gets redder. It doesn't destroy when it runs out of health, so it'll just get kind of to that level of red. So I've got these two separate things, and then the last thing I'm sending is the game object. That's just the source of what did the hitting, which is something I think I'm going to use later. Not really using it yet. So I have this bullet, which is hittable, and when it gets hit, it's going to take the direction. Yeah, that actually was the sandbag was my inspiration from Smash Bros. I had mentioned this kind of at the beginning, I think before anyone was here, but I'm kind of going for somewhere between Smash Bros and Killer Queen Black. I think I want it to be kind of like a frenzied party game, but want it to be very class based. With sword fighters, kind of hand-to-hand fighters, and gunners. And I want there to be a weird dynamic between them where the sword fighters have a bit of an advantage against the gunners have a bit of an advantage against the hand-to-hand, and the hand-to-hand have a bit of an advantage against the sword fighters. So for that first part here, that's why I have sword fighters able to deflect bullets. So their big thing is I want them to be able to send bullets kind of back, either directly back at their opponent or kind of back in other directions. I just want them to have a good defense against that and be able to turn that into their own offense. So I got when a bullet gets hit. So I can actually first look at how a punching bag gets hit. So when a punching bag gets hit, it takes that damage and it says, hey, whatever my health is, take away the amount of damage that I took. So it's pretty straightforward. And then this rb.addForce is the rigid body. So that's rigid bodies are what control the physics in the Unity game engine. And it says add a force using this vector 2. So that's whatever direction I have that attack set to apply the force in. It's going to do that. Then it just sets its animation to getting hit. So I've got these two different things, and I want to use those two different values in different ways. Bullets don't have don't really have a damage. They don't take damage, at least not as I currently have it set up. That might be an interesting thing to do, is have them kind of take damage over time. Maybe have it get bounced back and forth until it gets distracted. Just notice my camera's still smaller. Keep doing that. Sorry. I'm gonna pump up my camera a little bit. So I kind of want bullets to maybe be able to be bounced back and forth. I definitely want them to be able to be bounced back and forth. But more so, I want to make sure that you're not like infinitely doing that. So I might add a health to them later. So that I kind of have like a little hot potato, maybe something that like explodes when it runs out of health. That way, like whoever's the last person to hit it takes like even more damage than if they'd just been hit originally. But clearly, so back to my problem at hand. How fast should the bullet go when it's bounced? Clearly, just taking this force dot magnitude is way too much. And I could just put a magic number here and divide it by 5, let's say. And we can see what that looks like. And I might even keep that for a little while. So clearly, even dividing by 5 is too much. So if I divided by, say, 50... Nope, I got hit there. So that's probably too slow. Well, I guess... So this is this attack definitely has more force to it, because this is the upper attack. Because you can see my secondary attack here is kind of a down attack. This one does up and out, so it's got bit more force that it can do. Yeah. Whereas this has a bit more of a box. If you can see, I got the box that stays there kind of low, but it stays for a while. Whereas this, kind of you have a smaller window. What I'm going for there. So I think I'm going to stick with a magic number here for a little while. Because I do want them to go pretty fast. But the reason I don't want to just put a number there is because that number doesn't really have a meaning. So when I look here, I just, at this divided by 30, I don't know what that means. If I want to change this later, I'd have to go kind of test stuff out and figure out, hey, how do I change things? What's the math going on here? I don't know. Looking at this, so I want to replace it with something. Simplest way, actually, so make sure I don't have a magic number here. I'm streaming. I should write good code. So I'm just going to make a new public float variable called bounce divider. Float just means floating point number, which means it can have decimal values, as opposed to an integer, which has to be a whole number. So I'm going to put this to bounce divider. And then when I open my bullet object here, you can see I have a bounce divider variable that I can change. So that is how my bullets are going to bounce away, at least the speed for them. So the next thing I want to do is a little bit more complicated, which is I want to have it, depending on how much, I think so this is where I'm going to use the damage. Depending on how much damage you do, I want it to either bounce right back to the opponent or bounce in the direction. So if damage is less than 10. Again, this is a magic number, but I can take care of that later. So then I'm going to have it just go back. Otherwise, actually I should make this. No. Make this temp direction before the if, so that no matter which one it knows that it exists. Temp direction equal to copy some code from here. So this is doing is if the damage is less than a certain amount, it's just going to set the direction back where it came from. If it's higher than a certain amount, then it's going to actually send it in the... so it's going to reverse direction. Otherwise, it's going to actually send it towards the thing that hit it. So I've got my... check my character here. I'm doing something kind of interesting that I haven't done before, which is I'm changing values based on animations. So I actually have my 2 attack animations here. You can see I'm changing this hit force based on this. So interestingly, this maxes out, the attack 1 maxes out at 10, but it goes from 0 to 10 to 5 to 0. And actually, there's going to be in-between values between these because it doesn't animate at the same frame rate as the game runs. So it's highly unlikely that it's actually going to hit exactly at 10. So pretty much, I'm going to consistently on my attack 1, I should be getting just bounce reversing direction, and then on attack 2, which maxes out at 15, I should be pretty consistently getting go back towards the turret. So let's see if that's the case. So I'm definitely getting different behavior on the attack 2. I don't know that it's exactly what I want. Actually, I know it's not what I want. Let's clean that up a little bit, because the direction should still be... Oh, I know. I'm having it... So I have these 2 values. I have the hitter, which is the thing that just hit it, and I have this from value, which is what I thought I was using. So I was actually having it just go directly towards me after getting hit with my sword. I wanted to go to this from, which is then going to be changed to me. This is going to be able to support kind of bouncing it back and forth. So this should be what I'm looking for, which I don't know that we'll really be able to see a difference now. Because it's pretty much just doing the same thing of reversing direction. But what happens when we make this turret move around? So if I go to my turret, move speed. Why does it not? Oh, there it is. Translate. So I need to give it a direction first. So I'm just trying to think of what I want to do to make this move, because there's a couple different options, and I really just want something super simple. Yeah, I think we're just going to go for the most simple and probably a little bit erratic. We'll see if this is terrible. So I'm just going to take a new random direction every frame. Well, I think I'll just have it move up and down randomly. So that's the left and right is that first value that I'm putting 0 in. And then I'm going to put random.range, -1. Actually, I can just put negative move speed. And then 0 is the forward back. So this is just going to pick randomly towards up or down. It's going to move each frame. So it's probably going to be a little jumpy. I'm going to give it a pretty slow speed. And actually, little trick here for taking off frame rate dependence, which isn't going to make a huge difference here, but it'll help me keep my speeds kind of the same, is this time.delta time, which will link the speed to frame rate. All right, so that was actually, okay. So it's pretty cool. I got the bullets to hit each other. But not really what I'm looking for. So range, let's see. That's all I get. Oh. Cool. So this is either going to do almost exactly what I want, probably just need a little bit of tweaking, or be absolute garbage. Well, it did something. If I slow it down a bunch. Wow, even then. Alright, it seems to actually be doing more or less what I want now. It's not perfect, but it'll give me a moving target. that I can at least test a little bit with. So after all that, this isn't actually giving me what I really want, so I'm going to go for something I guess a little so this is simpler. I'm just going to make it move back and forth instead of giving that randomness. I just kind of like the randomness, you know. And this means I'm going to have to give it data points for how to move back and forth, more than just giving it a speed. And I really kind of like just giving it speed. I think it's simple. Move speed times time dot delta time. But this will give me a consistent movement. And then I can just actually so here I can change the direction. This isn't really the place for it, but I'll put it there and just have a note. Alright, have a good one, XPIC. Hope to see you again. I'm definitely enjoying streaming this, so I'm going to be doing that more often. So, yeah, hope you'll get to see the progress on this if I keep working on it. So here I'm going to change direction. So I'm going to go from the quick and dirty way is to just set that move speed times equal to -1. So that'll be reversed. So every time it fires now, it should be every 2 seconds, it should change direction. So that's great. I just want to slow it down a bit. So you can see those go right back, and these go more up. Perfect. Right back. And I think this is another problem. I got a magic number here on the turret, which is how far it's pushing it how far away it's spawning. Seems to have a problem with angles. I'm going to try and push it a little forward. Yep, so that goes. Right back. Moves it a little more towards. So, interestingly, neither of them are hitting with this system, just because of the way it's all, the way all the speeds and everything are set up. I can probably, I think if I get close enough, really, either of them hit. At least probably on the bottom. Yeah. I go far away. I actually do some collisions here. Well, I'm pretty happy with this. Alright. I'm streaming for close to an hour now. So, I think I'm actually going to call it a day for now. Just kind of a test stream. Wanted to see what it'd be like. But I definitely enjoyed it. So, I will probably be back. So if you want to, I don't know, subscribe, ring a bell, whatever you're supposed to do on YouTube. I'll be back probably sometime later this week. Alright, hope you're enjoying my progress on my Untitled Fighter game. Bye.